Welcome to Raw Perfect classes. In this video, I will discuss about collection of data, and this topic is belong to economics, and it also belong to class 11 subject economics. First point is sources of data. There are two types of sources of data. First, primary source of data. Second, secondary source of data. Primary source of data is original data, and it is taken from source of origin. Secondary source of data. It is taken from some agencies, institutions which already happens to have collected the data through the statistical survey. That is known as secondary source of data. Now next type is types of data. There are two types of data. First, primary data. Second, secondary data. That data which is collected by investigator for his own purpose for first time from beginning to end. That data is called primary data, and it is collected through the primary source data. Secondary data. These data have already been collected by somebody else. These are already available in the form of published or unpublished report. That is known as secondary data. We can say that primary data is original data and secondary data which is collected from the primary data, that is known as secondary data. And next point is principal differences between primary and secondary data. Primary data are original and secondary data are already existence. Means secondary data are not original. Primary data do not need any adjustment, and in secondary data we have need to adjust according to the objective of study in hand. Primary data are expensive, secondary data are less expensive. Next point is statistical methods of data collection. What do you mean by statistical method of data collection? Means ki how to collect the data. And what are the methods we use for collecting the data? First method is direct personal investigation. Direct personal investigation, it's the method by which data are personally collected by investigator from information, and its merits and demerits are: first, this data will be original, this is its merit; reliable, uniformity, accuracy relates to information, and this data is also elastic. Means these are the merits of direct personal investigation, but some demerits are present in direct personal investigation. First, it's very difficult to cover wide areas through the personal investigation. It's very costly. It's sometimes some persons cannot give the true information, so personal biasness will be present there, maybe present. Limited coverage. You cannot cover wide areas, you can cover only limited areas. So these are the demerits of direct personal investigation. Now second point is indirect oral investigation. It is a method by which information is obtained not from the persons regarding whom the information is needed. This type of information is collected orally, not written, from other persons who are expected to possess the necessary information. And its merits are: in this way you can cover wide areas, wide coverage, expert opinion, simple, it's very less expensive, it's free from bias. And the demerits, but sometimes this type of data is less accurate, doubtful conclusions, and sometimes it will be biased. And third point is information from local sources or correspondence. Under this method, investigator who appoints for as a local persons or correspondents at the different places for collecting the informations regarding their data. And this type of method is have some merits and demerits. First, we will discuss about merits. It's very economical. We can cover a wide area. It will be it has continuity. It's very suitable for special purpose. But some demerits are uh, loss of originality. Maybe data will not be original. Lack of uniformity and personal biasness will be present there. Less accuracy, delay in collection, delay in collection because we cannot collect that directly from that person's. We can collect through the third person. So we can say that these are the some demerits in the this type of collection of data. Fourth type is information through the questionnaires and schedules. In this method, there are two ways of collecting information on the basis of questionnaire or schedules. First, you can send the mail, and by the mail you can ask the questions. And this type of method is most suited when the area of study is very wide. Informats are educated, then they can give the answers through the questionnaires. Second type is enumerator's method. Enumerator method, in this method, enumerator himself fills the schedules after seeking the information from informants. And this method is mostly used when the field of investigation is too large. Investigation need specialized and skilled investigation. So investigators, they are well versed in the local language and cultural norms of the informants. So they can give the information properly. And the next type is collection of secondary data. There are two main sources of secondary data. First, published sources, unpublished sources. Published sources, some of published sources of secondary data like government publications, semi-government publication, research papers, reports of committees, commission, publications of trade association, publication research institution, journals and papers, publication of research scholars, international publication. There are so many published sources from where we can collect the data, and this data is also known as secondary data. Unpublished sources, these are these data are collected by the government organization and other. Generally these for their self use or office record. And the in order to assess the reliability, suitability, adequacy of the data, some points must be keep in mind. First, ability of the collecting organization, objective, scope, method of collection, time, condition of organizations, definition of unit, and accuracy. These all points must be keep in mind when we have to collect the data through the unpublished sources. Now next point is census method. Census method is that method. Census method is that method in which data are collected covering every item of universe or population which are relating to the that problem under the investigation. And we can say that this census method is implement on the universe or on the large population. Merits and demerits of this method. Merits, this type of method is reliable, accurate, less biased, extensive information, study of diverse characteristics, study of complex investigations, indirect investigations are possible in this type of method. But some demerits of this method. First, it's very costly. It needs large manpowers and it's not suitable for large investigations. Now next point is sample method. This type of method is in this method data is collected about the sample on a group of items which are taken from the population for examination, and conclusions are drawn on their basis. For example, in a class, for example, there is a class 10. We want to know length of all boys Then we can take the samples 4 feet, 5 feet, 6 feet heights of whole class. We take some samples. We cannot take information from 100 students of one class. We take information from out of 100 students only 10 students. In 10 students, some students are 4 feet, some students are 5 feet, some students are 6 feet, and on the basis of those students we will decide that what will be the average length of all boys in class 10. This type of information, this type of data is known as sampling data, and it's collected through the sample method. And this type of data, this type of method has some merits. It's economical, time saving, identification of errors, and large investigation, administrative convenience, and more scientific. Demerits are, it has some demerits. First demerit is partial, wrong. Sometimes we can conclude wrong results. Difficulty in selecting representative samples. Sometimes there are, for example, 4.2 feet persons are there. 5.3 feet boys, some boys are 5.3 feet. We cannot calculate those persons properly. So we can say that difficulty in selecting representative samples, so difficulty in framing a sample, and so we have to need some specialized knowledge about the collection of the data. These are the some demerits of the sample method. Now next is a methods of sampling. There are many methods which are used for sampling purpose. First is a random sampling method. In random sampling, sampling is that method of sampling in which each and every item of universe has equal chance of being selected in a sample. Random sample may be done in any of the following ways. That is a lottery method or table of random numbers. For example, in class 10, students got marks 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 40, 30 and 20. We randomly choose 60, 100, 30, and this is known as random sampling method, that is known as lottery method, and this is table of random numbers. Next is a purposive or deliberate sampling. Purposive or deliberate sampling means it is that method. Purposive or deliberate sampling, it is that method in which investigator himself makes the choice of sample items which in his opinion are best representative of the universe. Means purposive or deliberate sampling are those sampling in which investigator makes a choice of own sample items. And second is a stratified or mixed sampling. According to this method, sampling population is divided into different strata and that have different characteristics. Some of the items are selected from each strata. So the entire population gets representative, means this is a whole population. Out of this, one strata, this is second strata, this is third strata, this is fourth strata, this is a fifth strata, means there are mixed type of sampling, and out of this the investigator choose one sample which he wants. So we can say that stratified or mixed sampling method is that method in which population is divided into different strata and which have different characteristics, and some items which are selected from each strata. We can investigator can select the each strata from each strata data. And now we can say that systematic sampling. According to this method, units of population are numerically, geographically, and alphabetically arranged. Means there are different types of population, different units of population. They are selected. They are make their group according to numerically, according to geographically area, according to alphabetically. They are arranged, and every ninth item of a number is selected as a sample item. That is known as systematic sampling. Next is a quota sampling. Quota sampling means in this type of sampling, population is divided into different groups or different classes according to their features of their population. For example, general, we can say that general category means unreserved or reserved category. This is a quota sampling. Convenience sampling. In this type of sampling is done by the investigator in such a manner that suits his convenience according to their convenience. When investigators choose the sample according to their convenience, that is convenience sampling method. Next point is reliability of sampling data. And reliability of sampling data depends on mainly some factors. First is it depends size of sample, methods of sampling, voice of correspondent and enumerators, training of enumerators. These are the reliability factors. These are the sampling data's factors on which reliability is depend of a sampling data. Important agencies at the national level which collect the process and tabulate statistical data. For example, National Sample Survey Organization, Registrar General of India, Directorate General of Commercial Intelligence and Statistics, and labor bureaus. These are the some agencies who collect the data. Now, some questions which are important. First, frame at least 4 appropriate multiple choice options of the following question. First, which of the following is most important when you buy a new dress? Which of the following is most important when you buy a new dress? When you buy a new dress, then what factors we have to keep in mind? What points we should keep in mind? First, we check what's the price of dress. We check what's the fabric of dress, and what is the color of dress, and what's the brand of dress. These 4 points which must be important when we buy a new dress. How often do you use computers? How often do you use computers? How can you use the computers? Mostly, at least once a day, at least once a week, at least once in fortnight, occasionally. And which of the newspaper do you read regularly? Times of India, Hindustan Times, Indian Express, The Hindu. Rise in the price of petrol is justified. Strongly agree, strongly disagree, neither agree nor disagree, somewhat agree. What's the monthly income of your family? It's less than 10,000, more than 10,000, what less than 25,000, more than 25,000, what less than 50,000, or more than 50,000. These are some multiple choice questions which were used as a objective type questions. Now next question, frame 5 two-way questions with yes or no answers. We give the answer yes or no. Are you an Indian? Yes or no? Do you live in Delhi? Are you graduate? Do you know swimming? Have you ever been convicted by a court of law? Question third. State whether the following statements are true or false. There are many sources of data. It's true or false? There are mainly two sources of data, primary and secondary. So we can say that this is the false. Telephone survey is the most suitable method of collecting data when the population is literate. When the population is literate and spread over a large area. It's true or false? Answer is false, because mailing questionnaire would be more suitable as the population is literate. Telephonic survey is most suitable in case illiterate population and spread over a large area. Data collected by investigator is called secondary data. That's true or false? Answer is false, because investigator may collect the data by conducting an inquiry or an investigations. And this type of data are called primary data, and these are based on the first hand information. And fourth question is, there is a certain bias involved in non-random selection of samples. And it's true or false? It's true, because in non-random sampling method, all the units of population do not have equal chance of being selected, or convenience and a convenience or judgment of the investigator may be create a bias. Now next question is, non-sampling errors can be minimized. Can you minimize the non-sampling errors by taking large samples? It's true or false? Answer is false, because it's very difficult to minimize non-sampling error even by taking a large sample, as they include errors in the data acquisition, non-response errors, and sampling bias. Next question is, what do you think about the following question? Do you find any problem with these questions? If yes, or how? How far do you live from the closest market? This question is not clear. This question is ambiguous. People will not be able to answer this question as the different measures of distance like the meters, kilometers, yards, etc. will complicate the analysis. So it should be made specific as flow many kilometers away is you are from home, from the closest market, less than 5 kilometer, between 5 to 10 kilometer, and more than 10 kilometer. If the next question is, if plastic bags are only 5% of our garbage, should it be banned? Answer: this question is a leading question because it gives a clue about how the respondent should answer by trying to point that 5% is a small percentage which can be tolerated. Better question would be, do you think plastic bags should be banned? Yes or no? You have to ask the question this type, in this way. Wouldn't you be opposed to increase in price of petrol? Answer is, this question comprises of two negatives which creates confusion to the respondents and which may lead to biased response. And its better question would be, would you oppose the increase in price of petrol? Do you agree with the use of chemical fertilizers? Do you use fertilizers in your fields? What's the yield per hectare in your field? Answer is, the order or sequence of question is incorrect. The series of questions should move from general to specific. So the order should be, what is the yield per hectare in your field? Do you use fertilizers in your fields? Do you agree with the use of chemical fertilizers? You want to research on popularities of vegetable atta noodles among children. Design a suitable questionnaire for collecting this information. And this way is the asking the question. Name, age, address, gender, male, female. Question: do you eat noodles? Yes or no? Do you like noodles more than other snacks? Yes or no? How many packets do you consume in a month? Less than 2 packets, 3 to 5, 5 to 8, more than 8 packets. Do you prefer atta noodles over maida noodles? Yes or no? Do you like vegetables in your noodles? Do you think more vegetables should added in vegetable atta noodles? Which vegetables according to you should added in vegetable atta noodles? Do you think it should be spicier? When do you prefer to have vegetable atta noodles? In breakfast, in lunch, as evening snacks, in dinner? Do your parents also like vegetable atta noodles? Yes or no? In a village, in this question, in a village 200 farms, a study was conducted to find the cropping pattern out of the 50 farms surveyed. 50% grew only wheat. Identify the population and the sample here. According to this question, answer is the population or universe in the statistics means totality in the items under the study. It's a group to which result of study are intended to apply. In this case, population is 200 farms in the village. A sample which refers to a group or section of the population from which information is to be obtained. A good sample, a representative sample, that is generally smaller than the population and that is capable of providing reasonably accurate information about the population. In this case, sample is 50 farms which are surveyed.